Shalom. Today I was just here listening to information, and then I just had a thought to share some information. It may be repetitive, but sometimes repetition is needed to provide information. And disclaimer is, this is just for informational purposes, some educational purposes. Many know this already, and many are more educated than I am on this topic. But I'm just sharing information that I have. Also, we already have established, and it is already recognized that and once again, what I'm saying, this is no attack on any other group or nation of people. I'm only speaking for my heritage as far as concerning me, and I will even limit that to me, because there may be other indigenous people who do not agree as I see things, so they have the right to declare their own meanings according. Well, it still has to be according to the truth, but they still have the right to agree or disagree with my statements. So, this might be several videos. This is for a review. The Webster Dictionary. You can also look up the etymology dictionary online. And the reason I say online, because it's convenient. You know what I mean? You don't have to go to no great sources. This is just information that's already provided. Now, if you want to go deeper into this, you can go and look it up yourselves in libraries and different places. But the internet provides various informative documentations and definitions and all of these things that you can find out immediately that will pique your interest to look further into these subjects. So Webster's Dictionary, 1828, American, pertaining to America. And this is the word today, so that's why I'm using America. American, noun, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals, but I like to say indigenous people, or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. Okay. This is the etymology dictionary. Born or originated, this is the indigenous, born or originated in a particular place. Then the 1640s, from late indigenous, born in a country, native, from Latin indigena, sprung from the land, native, as a noun, a native, literally inborn or born in a place. From Old Latin indu, prep, in, within, genere, perfective, genu, to beget, produce. From pi root gene, give birth, beget. Just like the term Genesis, this is the gene, the beginning, with derivatives referring to procreation in familial and tribal groups. Indu, within, from archaic Indo, which is cognate with Greek Indo. In, within, from pi, Indo, extended from a root in, related indigenously. Then it has gene, pi, give birth, beget, Indu, in, within. These are definitions that falls. Genere, to beget, produce, the beginning. Alright. And I had a document, that I got off the internet. Washita. Washington, Wachita, Quanchita, Wichita, Washita, Washington, and other linguistic expressions for the ancient ones indigenous to a land known as the United States of America, Turtle Island. Then, like I said, I basically came across this word, through the education of the Moorish part of our people, who are very thorough as far as the laws of the land and rights of indigenous people and different things of that nature. So I found out even from them the term a mexum. This is Urban Dictionary, a mexum. A mexum is one of the many historical names of the landmass that include North, Central, and South America, as well as surrounding islands. Other historical names are Morocco, West Africa, Northwest Africa. United States of America is a mexum. The land. They're talking about the land. And then look up Title 28 USC 3002 Section 15, and it states the United States is a corporation and not a government. And also look up the Clearfield Doctrine, which explains why the United States is a corporation and not a government, and also based on the bankruptcy of 1933 of the United States Corporation. Now, concerning the people here, the indigenous people here in America, on the land, this was the original 13th Amendment, Section 12, in which they clearly defined that the indigenous people, concerning the Ibri, Moors, and also the tribal terms, which are, like I showed you, the Wachita, which I believe was the original, Apache, Cherokee, all these tribes, which are basically the same people, and they determined them to be, under their color of law, Negroes. That's why I don't use their color of law terms. I don't consider myself black. In their terms, Negro, none of these things, because that's their terms that they classify under their colors of law. That's why I claim myself to be Ibri, the people of the land, the original people. Also, I consider myself Washita, Ashita, Cherokee Nation, all these people. And we've read also in the Rights of Indigenous People, you have the right to claim to be part of more than one indigenous or tribal group. But it is basically a fact that the people that they call, and also I don't claim myself to be African American, but it is a fact that these groups here, if you found yourself here, and I believe I'm correct in saying this, if you are here on this land right now, you are indigenous. You are indigenous to this land. Okay. So, and once again, this is no effect nor insult towards any other group. I'm only speaking for myself. And as far as being indigenous to this land, and any ones that agree with me, they can agree. Any ones that do not, they do not. And you have the right to provide your evidence that I'm wrong. I'm not hiding from the truth. This is what is documented. Also, like I said, this will probably be several videos. Also, indigenous people have the right to work on this land if they so choose. So if you work, and because the United States is a corporation and not a sovereign government, it is actually a foreign corporation operating on the land of the indigenous people, and through contract, you have the right to work. You have the right to full faith and credit on this land, and by receiving, like I say, water bills, light bills, gas bills, cable services, these are your rights to have to utilize these things. And the people that are honest and true in other nations that are here, they won't have a problem with this. This is only those who are trying to be deceptive and some people used to say they're the devil. And that's not saying, I'm not saying all people are the devil, because all of us have devilish ways in within our flesh. We have to cast those things out. But what I'm talking about, when you try to, you put them devilish ways and inject them on other people to enslave them, then that's the devil. So that's why I rebut. I do not claim it. I object to any servitude. Nobody can make you be in the foreign de facto jurisdiction of the corporation of the District of Columbia against your free will, and they cannot do it based on your actions, because that's bad faith, and it's also it's bad faith, action of bad faith. It's also fraud, and it's coercion, and everything that is negative. That's what it is. So they cannot hold you in that jurisdiction, and you actually not in that jurisdiction anyway. It's only through deception and fraud and deceit. And then the original 13th Amendment, Section 12, even put them on notice. See, everybody that's not true Americans, that are, let's say, Caucasian, or I'm not gonna judge them. All I'm gonna say is there's factions that have an agenda to enslave and entrap a people. But even the people that was trying to act in good faith back then, that put stuff in documentation, like right here, the original 13th Amendment, Section 12, states, the traffic in slaves with Africa, and we already read that this is also known as North Africa, where we're currently at, North America, Northwest Mexum, Turtle Island, all these terms. It said the traffic in slaves with Africa is hereby forever. The traffic in slaves with Africa is hereby forever prohibited on the pain of death and the forfeiture of all the rights and property of persons engaged therein. And the descendants of Africans shall not be citizens. Citizen is a term applied to 14th Amendment objects, or straw men, corporate fictions. And we've heard that these, even we've read before that I've also learned this from the Moorish community, that, and you heard about it, I'm not going to pound on it, that all of these estates and estates, including the straw men that they created to enslave, this actually comes in line with this Section 12 here that says, the traffic in slaves with Africa is hereby forever prohibited on the pain of death and the forfeiture of all the rights and property of persons engaged therein, and the descendants of Africans shall not be citizens. Does that say that you're not an American? Does that say that you're not de jure on the land? No, it's saying you cannot be a citizen of the corporation. And they can't make you be a citizen of the corporation, because that's slavery. Now, does that mean that that you're not a citizen of the corporation? Does that mean that you can't utilize the full faith and credit that is afforded to the people, which are the indigenous people? Some say the Ibri, the Moor, and I say the M-U-U-R, the indigenous people. No, you have a right to that, and you don't have to show no allegiance for that right. I'm going to go to part 2, and then I'm going to continue that thought.